Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday. Today is Sunday. Usually we drop our episodes on Friday, but I am Robert Knowles, a.k.a. Silas Knowles, a.k.a. the ZB Pirate on Twitter. Sometimes I actually offer some interesting things there as well. As always, we are pushboundconsulting.com. This is the Recovery Mode Podcast. We are up to Chapter 16, people. This is amazing, and this one's a special one because we have a global team, a trans-global team that goes all over the world, and we'll talk with them today. But as per usual, just to let you guys know, this is, here we go. This is what we do. This is Recovery Mode from pushboundconsulting.com. Basically, it is a 158-page ebook that you can download from Pushbound Consulting. It's streaming on the bottom. Definitely something for educators, administrators, and for people with children in school. All the questions that you would want to know about COVID, what our situation in COVID looks like right now with education. School is ramping up. Some people are already in school. So this is the kind of book that prompts questions or prompts discussions, and definitely is something that everyone should be talking about right now. Everyone's into it right now. So it's for everybody, and it is free. That is a great price to have. So with me today, I have our buddy from Chapter 16 from the Inspire Citizens. We're going to have two people, one right away and one joining us because he is trans-global, people. He is broadcasting around the world. But Steve Sosiak, right off the bat from Inspire Citizens. How you doing, brother? How's everything going?
I'm good, Robert. I actually just dropped my my daughter off at college today at University of Illinois, Chicago. So she's starting her freshman year. They're doing social distancing on campus with some of the freshmen in the dorms, and she's a cool kid, man. We adopted her when she was 6 from Peru when I was teaching down there, and she's come such a long way. And for her to go to college, to university today, my alma mater, University of Illinois, Chicago. So
yes,
I'm feeling pretty proud. So it's been a good day, somewhat emotional, but she's kind of down the street at the moment. So I can't complain.
You're in Chicago. I didn't know you were Chicago. You found out I'm a little bit closer being in the north suburbs.
Yeah.
Hey, I graduated from Roosevelt University. So my alma mater. Yes, my alma mater's not that far away. I always pass by and I go, hey, look at all the money I spent. Yay. As you go by.
For sure. And I mean, you Illinois, Chicago, man, they had a pretty spectacular education program. And, I went back there and got my master's with a bunch of in-service teachers when I was learning the ropes, and it was super diverse, and it was just really a great experience. So I'm happy that she's going there. It's going to be good for her because it's a diverse campus and she's a diverse kid and having lived everywhere around the world, and she's going to be in good hands. I'm happy about that.
That's awesome. So we got Steve on the line. Aaron, who is overseas, literally in Seoul, Korea, will be joining us very shortly. But Steve, since I got you on the line talking about I put the preview video on the Facebook page for pushboundconsulting.com. Everyone follow it, please. You are co-founders with Aaron with something called Inspire Citizens. What is Inspire Citizens?
Well, basically, to keep it simple, what we really are trying to do, I think, is kind of bring back a level of really a powerful approach to civic education, right? I think, whether we talk about it through a global citizenship lens, which a lot of the work we do, we'll use the term global citizenship or education for sustainable development, because that's kind of the language of the international community. But like even just in the States and what's going on right now in the US, I think, what we really bring to the table is we work with schools. We can do it at a school level and go for a whole sort of vision and transformation towards more of an applied civic approach to what you're doing with your schools. We do a lot of professional learning
It sounds like Aaron's eating a bag of chips as we start with this. Hey, Aaron, how you doing, brother?
Good morning. I'm getting a little bit of strange feedback here, but
I don't know. That might be you, brother. I don't know. So, as you interrupted Steve's great train of thought. Anyway, everyone, this is Aaron. He's part of the Inspired Citizen crew as well. contributor of Chapter 16, co-founder of Inspire Citizen. He is in sole career right now. So right now it's 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. It is 8 a.m.
Yeah, we're 8:15 a.m. right now.
Wow.
So yeah,
Okay.
feeling fresh, had my coffee, we're ready to go.
Aaron, do you have any of these? These might help. You got any headphones handy?
Let me put them on. Hold up.
That's some great echo, Borg. It says you can
Oh,
hear
when
us.
he came in, I was saying we're musicians, so it was like straight to some kind of a bizarre avant-garde electronic music going on there when he popped in. So that was cool.
You're just like, what was that? That was just like he had the bag of chips, just crinkling the bag of chips and everything else. Excellent. So you got us better a little bit, Aaron?
Hold on. I'm sorry that this is being crazy. Maybe
No
can you guys hear me any better now?
No, we can.
No,
hear
you're good. I think it was just that feedback on your end. So
Yeah, you're
we're not
good.
hearing that anymore. So I think we're all
Okay.
set.
My computer's still doing it, but
yeah, you're perfect on this end, and we don't hear the feedback anymore. So I think it was just coming out of your speakers. Not a problem. Technology. I mean, technology is a wonderful thing. So,
okay.
Aaron, as we got in, Steve was starting to talk. I mean, maybe you could piggyback off some of the stuff he was talking about. What is Inspire Citizens? Steve was talking about global impact with teaching and education. I mean, you guys just piggyback off each other. What can you add?
Yeah, so we were, Aaron, I was just at that point of saying like the different levels of sort of this global citizenship or civic education, whatever you want to call it. Aaron's actually at a school in Seoul where they're doing a whole school global impact school model. You want to talk about that briefly, and then we can go down sort of from the big picture to like maybe the teachers to the kids. Uh-oh. It might just be me and you, man.
Yeah, it might just be us. He's in deep thought. You can just say like there's deep thought going.
All right,
Aaron, if you could hear us, just refresh your computer and stuff. That's just technology is a wonderful thing. All right, hold on. Let's get him so he could refresh his computer. Maybe wait, hold on. Oh, there he is. You got it now, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is being crazy. So
no worries.
All right. So global impact schools, that's what we're talking about. And what is it? What does Inspire Citizens do? And I know Steve already gave it already. Yeah, and I know Steve already started off on that, but I don't know. I think I want to just go back to sort of where we came from, right? This idea that when we were teachers that were in a classroom, right? And we were just saying, when we do this kind of learning with kids, where it's like getting them to write about global issues, getting them to write about something that they care about, getting them to research and just use their learning to do something good or to try and advocate and participate in something good, the learning became more powerful, the engagement increased, right? And we just saw that they were actually learning so that they could, right? And then so when Steve and I were sitting there and reflecting on a lot of our student work, right, we were just saying, this is great. I wonder if this is replicable. And so we brought the same kind of approaches to different classrooms, different subject setting, different, learning support, EAL, different student groups. We brought it then into like an interdisciplinary project-based learning setting. And everywhere we went, it was the same results. And it was the same sort of deeper learning that started happening with kids. And we had kids that were just excited about using school to do stuff. And so really Inspire Citizens came from this idea of it works. It's good for the world. It's good for kids. It's good for teachers. It's good for the community. Why don't we take this bigger so that we can get more schools, more kids, more communities? And then as we started presenting out at conferences, schools started hiring us to ask us to come work. And then it turned into a lucrative thing that we've been able to do full time now for about a little over 2 years.
That's
and
awesome.
We're very, very thankful, So it started as two guys in a classroom doing good stuff, and now it's grown into something a lot bigger. And we're very, very thankful for all of that.
And that's the thing. That's the one thing that, it's always when you're doing the good work in the classroom, you bring it literally worldwide. That's the awesome part that, you guys can do. So I'll throw it out to both of you, whoever wants to. So you guys, Seoul, I heard Beijing. Where else has Inspire Citizens go to make impact with other educators and children and stuff?
Well, it's pretty much on 5 continents now, which is crazy, right? It's hard to believe that. Yeah. But we're based, because both of us were initially, Aaron and I met as co-teachers in Beijing, right? Like he mentioned, Aaron was a learning support teacher, pushed in, we co-taught in my humanities classroom in middle school. And that sort of became sort of our network hub. I had been teaching in Malaysia before that, and that's where I really started to get my head around what global citizenship education could be. And so we went out from there. So we have Singapore, Cambodia. We do some work. We've been doing some work with distance work in Australia. We've got our booking agent that works with us out of New Delhi, Finland, Panama City, Panama. And now, we've been pushing into, even like I mentioned earlier, Chicago and Massachusetts. And since I've been back in the States, there's been a little bit of an opportunity to connect more with teachers here in real time, right? And Kavita, who's our third facilitator, she's really good at connecting with people. She works a lot on well-being, which is such a crucial thing right now as kids are coming back from COVID and teachers are still dealing with that, right? So she's also made some great connections, and it's just been fun to see how we can take all these different contexts and sort of unify them around that common mission.
Definitely. I mean, with being global and taking it to everywhere with the global impact of what's going on, how much has COVID-19 affected your guys' work with being, the global education and everything else? How much has that impacted you guys?
Well, I would say, Aaron, you want to talk a little about the face-to-face and the distance thing, but there's been some actually, in terms of workspace and brain space, there's been some really positive things too. But Aaron, why don't you start?
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to say, is that, there's obviously been a lot of challenges, because now that we have people who aren't necessarily face-to-face in schools, now that we can't travel, like we're used to being in a new country or new city every 3 days to 1 week, right? And so now we can't do that. And so we've had to significantly shift, our business model, how we offer services online, what time zones we're working at, how we split up responsibilities to work with different partner schools around the world. So as an organization, it's been a challenge. But at the same time, what's been super, super exciting is sort of 2 things. One is, well, I don't mean for this to sound too happy about it, but the global context right now is that there are a lot of needs that we have, and everybody is experiencing it. There's no longer an opportunity for you to sort of say, that's not my problem, because it's everybody's problem. And so many other problems are being sort of illuminated and, are coming to light because of this challenge, that people are now almost more receptive, to the work that we do. And a second interesting context that's been, beneficial for us is that, taking action and digitally or virtually it's not something different, right? It's actually a great opportunity. And we've had some of our 5th grade students here where they say, oh, wait, so if I create this resource, I invite people into a Zoom room, we have our discussions, and then we do a challenge, and we come back a week later and we meet, we can still build community, we can still do action. And now it's not dependent on people coming to my exhibition or coming to my school to get this workshop or participation on my part. I can do it with my friends in Canada. I can do it with this. And so you have kids now that are taking action virtually, right? And they're actually having a wider spread. And the more that we create any authentic outputs that are outward facing for advocacy or action projects, it can literally be put in a link and sent anywhere in the world. So it's almost, as much as there's a lot of terrible aspects, of this COVID situation, it has also been an opportunity for teachers and students to understand that their reach is actually really far if you can go virtual, right? Yeah,
Robert, on my end too, I think the hardest thing has been just reframing how to build those relationships, right? Because one thing Aaron and I realize as teachers with things, when you're getting professional learning, for example, that initiative overload that happens when your school wants to do 100 things really fast, but then you don't always go deep in terms of like a long-term relationship with the people that you're working or getting coached by, right? So that's something we pride ourselves on. We really worked on researching, what it means to, provide, best practices in professional learning. So that long-term relationship piece and internal capacity building and modeling for teachers or co-facilitating with teachers and still connecting with students is a really important piece of what we do. So making that initial shift to become almost exclusively virtual in terms of our, interactive training and or working with kids was, to me, it was at first pretty scary. Like I was like, okay, I don't know how this is going to go, because that human piece is so key to anything. Right. When you're talking intercultural competence, global citizenship, you want that human component, that compassion and that empathy. But I've been pleasantly surprised. It's gone really well. The other thing that's been fantastic, actually, as much, again, as Aaron said, I don't want to say that this has been a good time, but I agree with Aaron with that idea that issues have been unmasked, right? This idea that we need to have education for sustainable development. So whether that's climate change, whether that's social issues, whether it's, economic inequalities, et cetera, right? This is now, it's out in the open, right? There's no more hiding from it. And being able then to take the time this semester to breathe a little and create, these opportunities for teachers from all over the world to take a deeper dive into that work that we've been doing, often just kind of in our partner schools, because we're so in the weeds with those schools. It's not always easy to bring, a lot of different people together at the same time. Uh-huh. That's been really exciting. So a lot more things like offering some webinars, but also now we have this new master teacher cohort that's a full year endorsement program that's like 120 hours of exploration and study together, and really working on what's it going to take to transform education to solve these problems and to put kids in the driver's seat, and also to put teachers in the driver's seat, because I think we often don't give teachers enough credit for being experts and masters and artists. So I think that's what excites me. They're just getting to work more with the teachers and just empowering kids.
Most of the time too, I'm sure you guys are up on social media, on Twitter and Facebook and the usual, and you guys see a lot of teachers, like I do, are so scared and so frightened about going back into the classroom and stuff. Being so global that you guys touch so many people literally on different continents, are there more teachers outside of the US worried, or is it more centralized to us? Like Aaron might be able to talk to this too. I mean, do you see more teachers worried about the classroom now versus like we do in the States? Not me personally, but as a generality, do you think that happens with you, or is it kind of the same? What do you think?
You know what? I think that there's actually a big difference in a socioeconomic status of the community, of the school, and just of access to, for example, technology, right? Like if you think about, there's schools in China, for example, that can't use certain products because of, VPN restrictions and things like that. So they don't have access to leverage a lot of the same systems that other schools do. Or when you're talking about too, if you don't have a device at home, then how are you supposed to do virtual learning? Right? And so there's these different challenges that exist everywhere, right? And oftentimes it is the teachers who have access to all these things that are able to deal with it, more that are able to sort of make more sense of it. But at the same time, there is general sort of challenge all over the place. Anytime that you're asking anyone to try something new, anytime you're asking somebody to take something that they've been rocking for so many years and then flip it, right? There's going to be anxiety, for everybody. And what I think is just the most important part right now is that if we as teachers can take what we're doing and share it out to give other people inspiration, if we can take a strategy that's been working for us well in the class, right, and you can put it out, somebody can learn from that, right? And so a lot of the work that I'm actually doing with teachers here at Seoul Foreign School is take what you're doing, post it, not for self-aggrandizement or anything like that, but literally just to show people what you did, because someone might learn from that. Right. And then the more that we're able to use social media and we're able to use our own teaching and our own practices as a service to others, the more that will help to create more of an inclusive community of educators where we can learn from each other on the strategies that we're using. Because there's challenge everywhere. Like you're saying, yeah, people in the States are worried about it, but people all over the place, you know, are having the same struggles. And the more we can work together to support each other, the better it's going to be.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Robert. But also talking more, maybe even directly to your point of like justice and equity, and also just the health issues that are related to, you know, I think this comes back to that idea if we can teach kids and teach teachers and teach schools as community centers to have a little bit more of a global mindset that also shows the interconnectivity and interdependence of the issues, right? So for example, the fact that like, you know, health and well-being and quality education is not, you know, siloed from governance, right? So, or it's not siloed from, you know, the cultural differences that exist not only within the states, but how people might approach the same type of problem, for instance, in South Korea, right? So in South Korea, you've got a society that the governance dealt with COVID in a little bit of a different way, obviously, and people were more receptive to maybe taking some of the measures needed to squash COVID a little bit more than they have in the US, right? So there's so many nuances. And I think, again, you come back to the work that we do with teachers and kids in schools is like helping the kids of all ages to get their heads around that type of systems thinking, right? And to be able to say, hey, look, let's take our learning to understand the world better and also understand my local context better. I think that's where you can start to take away and alleviate some of that fear, and then give people and kids back that power to address it, right? But I would say everybody's worried. There's no doubt about it. Everybody's concerned about wanting to be well. But I think it would be irrational for us not to acknowledge that what's going on in the States right now is pretty unique.
Yeah, definitely. And it just hits so many different points, so many different things. So going back to, since we got 22 minutes in, we got to talk about the book.
Yeah.
We got to talk about the book. So your guys' chapter is a little bit different than everybody else. I wish I was able to take this twist on it, but your chapter is basically just a discussion with you guys. Between you two, you just had a talk, and that was it. That's brilliant, by the way. I wish I would have thought about that. But the title of your chapter is this thing called Empathy to Impact. So this is something I was doing my homework and found online and everything. So this is the Empathy to Impact project from Inspire Citizens. And you could see, you know, it's kind of like a matrix, a circle, if you will, talking about what, you know, needs and everything else. What can you guys tell me about the Empathy to Impact project? What is that all about?
Well, let me start on this one. You know, in essence, it's what you just showed is sort of the V5 of about V8 version of that sort of Empathy to Impact project cycle. What we often do with that is we use it for teachers to either sort of snapshot a unit, or kids to sort of use that literally as an inquiry cycle or a project-based learning cycle. But really, it comes down to those 4 questions that you see in the corners, right? Where it's like, what is it in your community that you care about? And that can be a personal, family, it can be internal for your school, it can be local, it can be regional, domestic, or global. But what are some things that, you know, really resonate with you? So that internal piece, right? And then getting kids into that idea of like, what does it mean to be an informed citizen? And really informed meaning I'm going to look at like, what is credible? What is ethical? Where am I getting my resources? And also going beyond some of the traditional ways to capture information and data. So I'm going into observation mode. I'm going into photography. I'm going into data on a deeper level. Again, kids of all ages, and how we teach those things. We call those modern literacies, right? Or civic literacies. And then, so that's your care aware. So how did I become more aware? Able is, in essence, able is your standards, right? It's like, what am I doing in my subject or interdisciplinary units that I still have to teach, right? But that I'm allowing those to be the foundational pieces for the kids to do something with it, whether it's going deeper into research, whether it's understanding, you know, the issues in the world. And then that last piece of impact is, what am I doing in my community? And it becomes like participation, design for change, media for change, etc., social entrepreneurship, teaching and tutorials, etc., where the kids can have kind of a plethora of ideas where they could take their learning. And sometimes it's still teacher guided, right? We do, just like anything, it's a gradual release of responsibility. One extra thing we've just added to that is also a community asset survey, where then we help kids to say, who are the individuals in your community? You know, what are the physical spaces? What are the institutions? Who are the NGOs, et cetera, so that they can also connect those actions to a specific community, right? So we're always evolving too. You know, we love to learn from a lot of people and keep our models going, but really it just comes down to those 4 words: care, aware, able, and impact.
Excellent. And that is version 5. So I found version 5 of version 8.
I think so, man. I'll send you the update on the flip side here.
Oh, definitely. I'm like, hey, version 5 out of version 8 on the first try. Data impact. I'm like, bam, I'm going to use that. Beautiful. So, but I mean, either one of you definitely chime in on this next one. When you guys went to write your chapter, what conversation, what discussion how did you come about choosing that chapter or choosing that discussion for that chapter? I mean, I'm sure you guys have endless conversations like this, face to face, whatever the case may be. How did you guys come down and choose the conversation to contribute to Recovery Mode?
Aaron, you want to take that one?
Yeah, well, okay. So we were supposed to write the chapter, right? And we had sort of like had an outline about, you know, maybe we should talk about this, or maybe we should write about this, or maybe we should put this together. And then Steve came up with just this awesome idea where he said, like, you know, why don't we just go, you and I, 2 people, the guys that sort of came up with the vision, people that haven't been able to connect, you know, for a long time because of COVID. Like Steve and I used to see each other every day, and now we're not sure if we'll see each other face to face for 18 plus months, right? And so this was sort of just like a way for us to sort of commemorate, you know, and talk about some of the things that we did, right? But also just enjoy each other as people and sort of give other people that outward view of who we are as 2 people, as the co-founders of the organization, while at the same time, we strategically planted, you know, sort of a question or a theme, right? So that there was actually some kind of logical through line or a plot to the interview. And yeah, it was really just that. It was, you know, dinner with Andre sort of style, like, you know, we're gonna just talk, right? And I really liked it because what I felt came out of it, and actually what you see in the chapter is actually like an excerpt of a longer chapter, and you can like click on the actual, you know, like full one that might have a little bit more goofy side conversation. But at the same time, it was just great because I think it really sort of like reveals a human element of the conversation. And a lot of times when you're talking about like educational organizations and, you know, consulting, we get a lot on like pedagogy and you know, verbiage and all this kind of stuff, right? And it was just really nice to be like, one, let's let this be personable, right? If we're talking about humans doing good stuff for other humans, let's be human. Let's let our human sides come through in an interview between 2 people that are really, really committed and believe in something. And so we really hope that that kind of personal side came out of it. And the second thing too is that, you know, when writing, especially when writing chapters for books, right, it's important to be, you know, logical and methodical. But then in this, what happens in a conversation is almost more of a stream of consciousness flow. And then when one person gets excited and then they add on to that next part, they add on to that next part, that's something that's oftentimes not captured, you know, in more traditional writing. And so because Steve and I feed off of each other, and that's how so much of what we sort of have done over the years has come into fruition, we wanted for our chapter to have that same kind of building off of each other kind of flow, right? And so I hope some of that comes out in this chapter.
Yeah, no, I think it does. And just 2 other quick things is that idea too, you know, we like coming from that co-teaching background, right? We really always made it that idea when you co-teach, you can either have somebody that's in the room as your assistant, or you can actually come into somebody's room when they're co-teaching and you don't know who the main teacher is, right? Or you might not know who the kids are that are getting the extra support, because there's just this super flow of, and I think some of that comes from even our music background, right? We both used to play in bands, Aaron still does, and like that idea of like playing to each other's strengths, multiplying the strengths of each other in a way, building off the ideas of one another, listening to each other in ways that if we were writing the chapter back and forth, it might be a little bit more sterile, right? The second thing I think that's really important too is, and you know this, we're doing a podcast right now, is like when you're thinking about language development or language in general as a teacher, we sometimes push aside, I think, the speaking and listening for the heavy reading and writing.
Uh-huh.
And I think in some sense of this like pseudo meta model of this idea of like, you know, kids should be engaging with podcasts, kids should be engaging with dialogues, kids should be engaging with visual representations, et cetera. That's language and communication too. So I think there was even that level of, you know, we really enjoy talking to people. And I think when we work with schools, you know, the listening and talking back and forth and reading the room and you know, doing a lot more listening often than talking is so important. So I think there's a lot there that, you know, we always laugh that we're like the movie Inception. So it's like you've got the meta model of language with the fact that we were co-teachers, with the fact that we, you know, love podcasts, with the fact that like we wanted to write a chapter with both of us, but wanted to be creative, and that's kind of what came out of it.
Hey man, Tenet's coming out soon. I mean, so
it got you a few reviews though, man. Watch out for that.
Reviews, but I haven't been to a movie in so long. I want to just see something, and that's the only thing that looks actually interesting. I mean,
I'm a big Christopher Nolan fan, so I've got my fingers crossed. But I was very sad to see that it got a couple kind of soft reviews there.
But I have to say, just adding in, since we're talking movies, did you guys see the new Batman trailer?
I just saw it earlier today. I didn't realize.
My God,
It's Robert Pattinson, right?
Yeah.
What's going on there? See, I'm a Christian Bale guy, so Dark Knight is one of my top 10. So it's going to be tough, but it does look cool. I got to admit, it looks good.
I like all the videos you see, all the DC fanboys. They're like, oh, you know,
yeah, for sure,
definitely. So going and trying to wrap this up in a nice bow when it comes to you guys and what you guys do. What do you see as the future for Inspire Citizens? Like, what is the plan going forward? You know, on top of what you guys already are doing.
Well, I'll give you sort of the levels. This is this is more of a this way instead of an inception thing. But like, basically, you know, we came back to that idea of like, why do we do this? We do this to empower kids to take informed action, right, for sustainable development, social justice, collective wellness, right, and social, emotional, ethical intelligence. That's kind of our mission. And then within that is the idea that, like, you know, we see ourselves going forward. We love working with admin and districts on that, you know, the bigger piece. We'd love to even get more involved in the policy discussion. Like, why aren't we doing this on a national level, for example, right? But right now we've got that admin level with the global impact schools. Then we have like supporting teachers, and we want to continue to do that. We're teachers first. We love working with teachers. So that's where that empathy to impact piece comes in. And then with the students, we have two particular things outside of sort of that empathy to impact project cycle. We have a sort of a student leadership toolkit that we're working on, almost like a leadership certificate that gets kids into like systems thinking and root cause analysis and active listening protocols, et cetera. And then we also have this big project going on right now called Global Youth Media, where we're looking at like what is ethical journalism and credible media through sort of the lens of the ethics of National Public Radio. So it's like NPR for kids, right? Okay. Yeah, it's really cool. So we just launched that too. We brought another colleague in from Denver, Donna Guerin. She's going to be facilitating that with us. So there's a lot going on, but it all centers on coming back to that idea of empowering kids to make the world a better place, whether it's, you know, and all of those things even in the middle are still connected. If you come back to sustainable development and social justice, they're all there. It's all interdependent. but we also work in the context of what does the school itself want? Where do you want to go? Because we can make that work, right? Aaron, I hope I didn't steal too much thunder there. Where do we want to be with all this then?
No, but just to sort of add and sort of articulate again is that, Inspire Citizens, what we've realized is there's a lot of people that need help with, student empowerment programs that can't necessarily bring it into curriculum. And we work on leadership skills and youth media skills. There are a lot of any type of curricular context, whether it be, Common Core, whether it be an international baccalaureate, or it's, IPC, IMYC, we have resources that can help turn any curricular structure into an action project. It's not about doing more. It's about taking the standards that you already have and the unit plans that you've already designed and slightly tweaking it so that you can sustainably and manageably, as a teacher, get your students to have an impact. And we do that at a curriculum level. We also have the school's full school implementation rollout plan and support level, complete with action research, self-study, evidence collection, and then using that to dynamically inform your implementation processes going forward. We do that with schools, and then we do that also with districts if people are interested. Because what we've realized is that you can't do it in isolation, and it has to be a supported system, right? If we are talking about professional learning and we are talking about, growth of students, that comes from making sure that your systems are supporting teachers to be able to do so. And so a lot of the work that we do is making sure that from a teacher perspective, because we know we've been in situations where schools have not done it right, and then it feels like it falls on your shoulders. Right now you're trying to save the world, and you're also trying to figure out why the system's falling apart, but that's not your job, right? That should be the districts supporting the administrators that are supporting the teachers to be able to do this, right? And so we assist with that. And I think, like Steve said, we personalize for context. Every context is different. Every population of students and teachers is different. Every community is different. And you have to start with that when you design your implementation and you design your curricular approaches. And you have to empower people based on the context that we're in as well. Right. So for us, our big picture is to keep that mission going,
yes,
be dedicated to that sort of, sustainable development, social justice, collective well-being action embedded into schools, because we have millions of people involved in school systems right now. And then if you count their parents and you count their community members or their grandparents or their cousins that are associated with schools, we have millions, if not billions, of people that are in an opportunity for impact. We just have to leverage it, right? Whatever we can do to connect people, connect educators, create systems that are going to help to propagate this process forward, then we're going to do it, right? And so that's why we just want more people to help get involved.
Yeah, and lastly, Robert, on that is that, we're sort of always joking about, we like to think of ourselves as like the indie band or sort of the craft brew, right? Where it's like we know that the quality comes from the fact that we are going into longer term relationships with these schools, because we don't want what Aaron said. We want to go into schools and we want this endeavor to be a success. And pretty much across the board, it really has been, because we feel like we're continuing to do it according to rolling it out in a way that everybody's going to feel supported and successful, right? So the next challenge then is like slowly or organically growing, right? And which is happening, but not forcing it, right? Like we really believe we have something that can transform education for the betterment of the world, but we're also going to let it continue to sort of bubble and evolve over time. And as people get their heads around this, get their heads around it and have continued word of mouth and excitement with the work we're doing, I think I'd love to have this conversation again in about 10 years. I think it'll be pretty cool to see.
Definitely. I mean, you guys, looking at the website, looking at the videos, looking at, doing my homework for this, you guys are all over the place. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And you guys are making that impact. So, definitely, you guys are like the behind the scene unsung heroes of going through and really putting it down there. So that's always great to see. So social media, guys, what should people follow you at? What's your socials?
I'm Inspire Citizen, no S, 1. So at Inspire Citizen 1. He's Thing 2 at Inspire Citizen 2. Twitter seems to be where we, I do most of my reach out and connecting and sharing evidence, et cetera, on Twitter. That's probably the best spot to get a hold of us in terms of if you need to get a hold of us quickly. We also have our emails, steve@inspirecitizens.org, aaron@inspirecitizens.org, and then the website is obviously inspirecitizens.org.
Definitely. So anybody, administrators, schools, you guys want to take, these guys are definitely people to take a look at. Definitely reach out, talk to them. They're making this global impact on education. They can help you as well. So if you're looking for them, that's what their socials are at. And just to wrap it up, this is why we're here, guys. This is the Recovery Mode podcast. You can download our 158-page ebook that contains the chapter from Steve and Aaron and the Empathy to Impact Project. You can read out all the contributors there as well. Gentlemen, I do appreciate your time. Aaron, be safe, brother. And Steve, you be safe too, man, because I know you're going to Beijing soon. So
for sure. And let's see if since we're in the same city, man, we should, put on the mask and go have a coffee sometime before I go back. That'd be great.
Coffee.
Well, should we talk?
Coffee with some others, though. I'm like coffee. Oh wait, I got to go back to my first day back.
We'll start with coffee, man.
Yeah, we'll start with coffee. My first day back is tomorrow, so I start back tomorrow. But it's a week of meetings, and then we get into it. So it's just like.
And obviously, good luck too. There's a lot of stuff going on here. So let's, and again, the time is now. I think we talked about this throughout. So any way we can help you too, man, even if it's just, us popping in for a convo with your kids, just reach out.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right.
Go ahead, Aaron. Go ahead.
I got a little bit of that lag. I guess apparently the internet takes a long time to travel over to Korea and back. But no, I just want to say thank you as well, right?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Right, by having these types of conversations, right, by taking this type of information and making it accessible to a larger audience, right, it means that we're all supporting the same mission. We're all supporting each other. And we're trying to use education to do good stuff for the world and for our communities. And I thank you for just creating this opportunity to connect people, right?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I really appreciate you as well.
When Rick and Rebecca just brought it to me, I just said, well, this is kind of my wheelhouse. I just took it and ran with it. And so like 17, 18 shows later, we're still going strong. So, I mean, definitely going to take it as far as we can. I'm going to ride it till the wheels fall off, just to stop talking. Just get off the screen. So, but definitely, guys,
all right, man.
Time, pushing boundaries. Definitely, guys. What are you guys doing to push the boundaries of your classrooms, if it's virtual or in-class discussions? We are here for our kids, and please, everyone, be safe. School's in session, so everyone, we're getting ready to ramp up. So be safe out there, and we appreciate you guys. Appreciate you.